So guys, in the continuation, let us cover the other commands of the curve from object toolbar. For example, one of the important one is duplicate edge, which create a curve that copies a surface edge. Let's check it out. I start the command. Here we should select edges to duplicate, or here we should select the edges that we want them to be copied from the surface edge. For instance, I select this one, press enter, check it out. Right now we got the created curve from the surface edge, while here there is no curves. Let us try again. Duplicate edge. I select these three edges. You can select several edges at the same time and then move them like this way, and we got no specific options. And the next one is duplicate face border, which creates a curve that copies a polysurface face border. Here if I start the command and then select the face, it will be given the borders. Let us try again. I click on the front face, press enter, then we will have the border curves of the selected surface. However, we could have created this by duplicate edge too. Let's check it out, but we should select them one by one or drag. But in face border we can specify multiple faces and then we can have the borders, so it is quicker than duplicate edge. And here I'm gonna have a review upon the previous sessions and I'm gonna give you some explanations. Here you may ask, why should we need to create copies from the surface edges? That we can use the surface edges in some commands like sweep, array, loft, and stuff like that. So what is the necessity of creating copies from surface edges? Let us check it out. For instance, when we got a box like this and the scene, and another box like this way, then for example we can create a roof by using loft, and since we can use these surface edges, and as I told you before, loft and the other commands can use the surface edges as the curves. Check it out, right click and then selecting the surface edges, then you can have the roof by using loft. So what is the necessity of existing and using a duplicate edge? And even for aligning the curves after creating a surface by loft, here if I specify two ends of the two curves or edge surfaces which are not aligned with each other, then we will have such a result that if we want to fix it, we should align the curves. Check this out. I mean, here we are aligning the curves, but we are operated on the surface edges, not the curves. So this was an example in working with loft command. In the continuation, I'm gonna exemplify another case by using sweep command. Let's check it out, this box. Since we're gonna understand the applications, the main applications of duplicate edge. For instance, if I want to arrange a specific object around the surface edges of top face, and we want to consider the surface edge as the path, so what should we do? At first, we set the C-plane to the face. Check it out. I adjust or set the construction plane to this face, and then I draw my desired profile or cross-section curve, arc, then again line, then I keep moving. Well done. Perpendicular, and then I close the curve or the cross-section curve. Then in the continuation, if you agree, let us scale the curve to maximize it. Great. Then I set the construction plane to the default mode and then sweep. Here as you can see, there is no curves to consider it as the rail, but I start sweep 1. Here we should specify the rail. I select the edge, but as soon as I specify one of the edges, then it moves to the next step that I should select the cross-section curve. So it did not let me to select the other edges. I specify the cross-section curve and then I press enter. Then we will have such a result. At this context, it may comes to your mind that we have to extract the other curves, other edges actually, but certainly not, because here is a trick. In sweep 1, here we got the chain edges option. As you can see, if I click on chain edges, then I can select the first segment for the rail and the other segments for the rail. Check it out. I select these four edges or the chain edges and then press down enter, so that we can specify the cross-section curve next. So in sweep command, if you use chain edges, you can select all of the edges of the specified face. Then check it out. So as I showed you, even here it was not necessary to use duplicate edge or duplicate face edges. But here we should put something into consideration. Here if we duplicated edges, we could have created the profiles quicker. But in general, we managed to create these profiles. In the continuation, I'm gonna use array, in which we are forced to duplicate the edges. For instance, here I create a box like this and then I minimize it by scale like this way. Then I select the edge by Control Shift and then I move it, and I also select these two top edges and then move them, and I change the bottom edge again like this way. Then in the continuation, I want to select the profile and then array it horizontally, so that I should use IsoCurve. And in IsoCurve command, we should have specified the path. So here you may want to select these edges and then consider them as the path. I mean, here as you can see, we got some edges and you may want to specify them as the path of the IsoCurve. Let us give it a try. We should select the objects to array. Here it is. Press down enter. Then I should select the path curve. But before that, we should specify the base point, since the object is not placed on the path. For example, the intersection. And then the path. That I specify the path curve. I select on the click on the edge. Then here we can specify the method or the number of the item, like 10. Check this out. But I wanted the object to be arrayed around the curve, around the object. So as you're concerned, we didn't have chain edges option to select the chain, other edges. So at this situation, we have to duplicate the edges because we do not have chain edges option in IsoCurve command. So I duplicate the edges, check it out, and as they are selected, I join them. Following that, I start IsoCurve again, select the object and then the base point at the intersection. Following that, the path curve. Check it out. Then we can specify the number of the items, for example 50, and then look, here is the result. However, we could have arrayed the object individually on each of the edges or on each of the faces, but it took a long time. And even in sweep that we got chain edges, we could have or duplicate the edges so that the process of modeling would be progressed quicker. So in some situations we have to duplicate the edges. And the another command was duplicate border. But what is border? What exactly border is? Borders are the edges, or the surrounding edges. For instance, here we got a surface. Here we call the surrounding edges of the surface border. Then we can extract them from the surface by duplicate border. I click on the face and then enter. Check it out. We got the border. And also we can have the border of the holes. For instance, here I want to create an opening or a hole, and by trim, check this out. I delete the curve by this way. Here we got only the surface and the opening or the trimmed part. Here I wanna duplicate the border of the hole or opening. Check it out. We got both interior and exterior borders for the rectangle and the circle both. But another definition of border is the set of the edges that, the border curves of the selected objects are created as separate objects. Let me give you another example. Here, suppose that we got a box like this way. I explode the box and then I remove the top face. but then don't forget to join them, like this way. Then here if I extract the borders, what will be the result? Duplicate border, then what will be given to us? Check it out. We are given the top face borders, or the top edges, or the edges of the opening, or the edges that they are connected to the surface from one side, and from the another side, at the another side we got an opening, while this edge, as you can see, is connected to two surfaces at both sides, while the other edges, these two, this is the surface edge and the border. And here we got a command which gives us the surfaces or edges that is not connected to the another edge, to the another surface. These are called the naked edges. In Edge Tools, Show Edges, we select the object, press enter to analyze the edges. The first one is all edges. As you can see, all of the edges are highlighted. The next one is naked edges. As you can see, these naked edges are not connected to two surfaces at both sides. And even you can modify the edge colors and specify new colors for them, so that you can check the edges by using Show Edges command in Rhino, like all edges, naked edges, or the open edges in surfaces, and also non-manifold edges. And they are sometimes practical. For instance, you draw such a rectangle like this way, and then you make some mistakes like this way. After that, you join them. But you see that you got some problems in joining these surfaces. Let's check it out again. I keep on joining them. I select them, and then in properties, as you can see, we got an open polysurface, but apparently the object is a closed polysurface. But we are given an open polysurface, so there is an opening. In such a condition, we can use edge analysis to find the problem, to highlight the edges of the surfaces and the polysurfaces. Select it, enter. Here is the naked edge or the open edge. So if you had joined your objects or surfaces and then the object was again still open polysurface, here we can analyze the edges by Show Edges, and then by checking the naked edges and then zooming in, check this out. You can fix the problem and then close the polysurface. You can explode them, then press down F10 to show the control points, and then move them and then revise it. Again, joined, well done. Here we got a closed solid polysurface. So we can use Show Edges for finding the naked edges. And the next one is Extract IsoCurve. You're already familiar with the IsoCurves. You can use Extract IsoCurve for duplicating the surface isoprometric curves. So let's see what does it do. Here I'm gonna create a surface by using these three curves. Following that, I move them. Here about the curve from object toolbar and the commands, note that they are very significant and they are very practical in the projects. I recommend you practicing them patiently. I love these. Well done. Here we got the surface. But what does Extract IsoCurve do? The Extract IsoCurve command creates curves that duplicate surface isoprometric curves at specified locations on the surface. Then here we select the IsoCurves to extract. Here, as you can see, according to the isoprometric curves and also the surface, we can extract the curves. And about the options, direction, which has been set to U, and U is this direction, as you can see on the screen, that you can extract the curves. You can choose U, V, or both, like V, check it out, by this way, and even both, that you can extract the curves at both directions simultaneously, like this way. And then press down enter, check it out. Here are the extracted curves. Suppose that if I want to modify the material at the center of the surface, I use this. I click on the surface, enter. Let me try again. I click on Extract IsoCurve, and then I specify the surface. Then I select the IsoCurves to extract at the U direction. After that, I extract these two curves, enter, well done, and then I split it. Check this out. I can trim that part. Well done. Let us talk about the options. Extract IsoCurve, specifying the surface. We talked about the direction that we can specify the U, V, or both directions. And about toggle. It toggles the direction between U and V, which is available only on surfaces. So okay, now you press toggle, or even you can enter T to toggle the direction between U and V. So you don't have to open the direction and then switch it. This is a quicker way. And then pressing down enter, and the another option is extract all, that it extract all IsoCurves in U, V, or both directions depending on the direction option. But note that it depends on the specified value in direction. For example, if I specify U in direction, then I click on extract all, then we will have all of the U curves extracted. Or if I set it to V, then we will have extracted all of the IsoCurves at U direction or V direction, and even if we click on both, we will have all of them extracted, as you can see. So this was the option of extract all, and ignore trims, which has been set to no, determines whether surface trims are ignored or taken into consideration, and when the marker misses the untrimmed surface, the no axis cursor is shown. Here it may comes to your mind that when we extract the IsoCurves in, for example, U direction, like this, is it same as section or is it different? I mean, at both commands we draw some curves. Certainly these two are different. I change the object layer. Let's check it out. When we use extract IsoCurve, as you can see, the curves are dependent to the IsoCurve. When we use a section, they are dependent to the independent to the IsoCurve, and we can draw them freely, unlimited. They are straight. So this is the difference between them, the extract and the section. Well done. The next one is extract wireframe. The extract wireframe duplicates surface or polysurface edge and isoparametric curves and mesh edges displayed in the wireframe view. And it is considered as one of the most practical and useful commands in Curve from Object toolbar. Let's check it out. It got no specific option. You just start the command and then specify the surface, solid or mesh to convert to curves. Then it creates curves that duplicate surface, isoparametric and mesh edges. And the only option in command line in extract wireframe is output layer and group output. The output layer specifies the layer for the results of the command, and group output groups the resulting objects. That we have talked about these before, that we can choose input or current, that we can place the results at the same layer at the input or in the current layer, and we can set group output to yes if you want the resulting objects to be grouped after being extracted. It is not as essential as other options. So guys, as usual, I want to practice the given lessons today.